URC season 2024-2025 is about to get underway in about 10 days or so, folks, except for the South African teams who are a week behind everyone else, with Currie Cup still coming to a conclusion. But who's the favourites? Who are the underdogs? We will go through the odds the bookies are giving them, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how you think this season is gonna go. We've taken some odds from bookmakers and converted them to a percentage for this one. So kind of take them with that warranted degree of skepticism. There are some teams on less than 1%. That includes the Dragons, Zebre, Cardiff, the Ospreys, the Scarlets, and, interestingly enough, the Lions. The Lions kind of came within a bit of a whisker of the playoffs last season, playing some bloody interesting and attacking, easy on the eye rugby. The four Welsh sides are there. That's perhaps to be expected given what's been going on in Welsh rugby in recent times. And Zebre at least managed to go the season better than they had in previous years when they had gone winless. But yes, none of these sides picked to do particularly much. Zebre are paying $1,001 to win it. The Dragons $501, Cardiff and Scarlets $151, the Ospreys $101, and likewise the Lions $101. If any of those sides are being hard done by, like I mentioned, I think it's the Lions. But we will get to the rugby forecast predictions as well, because they have a slightly different take on things. One side being given a 1% chance, and that is Benetton, the other of the Italian sides. The better of the Italian sides, you feel like on their day, can certainly knock off anybody. It's always an interesting one with the Six Nations as well, to see how the squads are affected. Benetton has had more depth in recent times than in the past. So, yeah, 1% chance, paying $67. Still pretty much a long shot. Connacht are a little bit better than the Benetton boys at 1.5%, $51. Connacht kind of have a rough deal, similar to the Lions in recent times, in that the teams in their Shield group are particularly tough. So having to play Leinster twice, Munster twice, and Ulster twice, as opposed to Zebre twice, who they only get once, has tended not to work in Connacht's favour. And then Edinburgh round out this side of the whiteboard with 2%. I can confirm $34 for Edinburgh. Edinburgh, a frustrating team. You feel like they should do better with the team they've got on paper. Home record tends to be pretty good, but yeah, tended to be a bit of a letdown for much of last season. They'll be hoping for better this season. Sharks, the second of the South African sides on this side of the whiteboard, with some recruitment deals going on. Siya Kolisi is heading back to South Africa to play for the Sharks, so we'll see what kind of impact he's going to have. Remember, Rugby Championship still going on, means the South African sides that do have Bok players will be without them for a wee while, but the Sharks are there, paying $21, 4%. They were pretty awful last year, given the roster they've got, so surely things can only go up from here. Ulster is marginally ahead of the Sharks boys. The Ulster guys are kind of also a underperforming team, you would feel, but with the coaching change last season, one would hope things will likewise get better for the boys from Belfast. And then the reigning champions, interestingly, Glasgow Warriors, who were a bit of a surprise package. And it's one thing I've loved about the URC thus far, is that basically every year there's been a surprise package, because every year Leinster's going to win it. But we haven't even had a final outside South Africa yet. So, yeah, Glasgow. If Edinburgh were disappointing, like Glasgow, you could even say overachieved, man. They were not predicted to win the URC last season, but did it in what was a hell of an achievement for those boys. So, can they back it up? Well, they're not favourites to do it with the bookies, that's for sure. But the URC has been nothing if not a league for the kind of underdogs. The Stormers are here at 7%. Paying $11. Glasgow was 15, Ulster 17. The Stormers are always going to have a bit of pressure on them, because they've had, a pretty impressive record in the URC thus far. And being in Cape Town, having the fan base that they've got, it's always going to be a kind of high pressure one. But they are not the favourite of the South African sides. Munster, and the other of the South African sides, the Bulls. These guys are both given 12% chance, so $6.50 for those boys. You feel like those guys are going to be there or thereabouts, but they are still below Leinster, who once again are massive favourites for the URC. Remembering that Leinster has been kind of criticised in recent years for putting all their focus on the Champions Cup. That next star has not quite arrived on the jersey just yet. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that same tact or they try to pick up their first URC crown. As I said, they've been massive favourites, very similar numbers every season of the URC thus far, but are yet to even make the final. Now, these are bookmakers' odds. What about if because remember, the bookies are just trying to take your money for the most part, which they do pretty well. What about the Rugby Forecast algorithm, which is a sports algorithm which just runs predictions thousands and thousands of times? They've also got Leinster as favourites, but 35%, so less than what the bookies have got them. Interestingly, Munster are second at 11%, and then Glasgow, the reigning champions, third at 9%, with the Bulls kind of on a similar number. So, yeah, a little bit more given Glasgow's way by the algo, a little bit less by the Bulls, and then the Lions are the real outlier, like way down here with the bookies. A solid kind of fifth favourite, 7% chance for the Lions with the algorithm. So maybe that is a kind of little bit of a sneaky loophole in what the punters are seeing. But as I said, season gets underway scarily soon. We are still in the kind of final third of the Rugby Championship right now. All Blacks, Springboks, Wallabies and Pumas still in action. Not this weekend, but in not too long. And then this competition gets underway. So there's no break for you South African rugby fans. It is rugby all year round. You guys let us know your thoughts. Who do you think is being particularly overlooked, or who do you think is too highly favoured? If you guys haven't seen the latest episode of 2 Cents Get Distracted with me and Tony from Distracted Sports, it did get demonetized like I assumed it would. I did kind of declare on YouTube's little form that yes, it had some bad language and yes, it had some, I think, sensitive topics, but apparently that was still too much for the moderators. So yes, if you want to check out why that got demonetized, check that episode out up there. Beware though, there is some bad language, so if you've got the kids around, maybe hold off. But yeah, you guys take care, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.